And now, on with the show.
Imperial Pearl and the Cultured Pearl Association of America presents Pearl Talks. Elisabeth Strack from the 2011 Tucson Gym Show, Part 2.
Can you tell me a little bit about some of the things you've learned about the history of pearls in religion?
That's interesting. Maybe I start even with Christianity. Because pearls had very high importance in the Roman Empire. They came from the east, and the Romans had conquered the east, like the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf. Well, the Persian Gulf was not conquered, but the rims of the eastern Mediterranean. And pearls had an enormous significance. This was somehow taken over by the early Christians, not as a material value, but comparing Christ with a pearl, born by Mary, his mother. And in many early medieval paintings, you will find Mary decorated with pearls. They became a symbol of purity, of religious devotion. And in following this up, in going through European or even American museums, looking at those paintings, it's astonishing to always see the pearl combined, explaining to the viewer, to the medieval viewer, the purity, the chastity of Mary, and the unique importance of Jesus Christ. It didn't have a direct religious importance. This is really more, was used as an image.
An icon.
As an icon, yes. And churches continued to use decoration made by pearls, like in Spain. They would often be decorated with pearls directly, because Spain, who was colonial power in South America, got those pearls back. And nearly every small church in Spain, in traveling through Spain, you could find holy items decorated with pearls. Pearls were something rare, expensive, and so this importance, taken over from the Roman Empire, was attached to Christian symbols. In Buddhism, I think it was considered as one of the rare symbols of purity. Same in Hinduism. I don't know all the details. I never did such a detailed study of the importance in religion, but it had always, as it was there, a high importance, comparing a material thing to the divine, because it came out of the sky, in the opinion of people.
So as a gem of nature, it was used as a symbol to represent all those things that you touched upon earlier.
Yes, that human beings want to make up an image of what is beyond, of what is divine. And the pearl was maybe even more than gemstones, as a symbol of something that was produced in nature. I mean, with gemstones, they were already there, but with pearls, they were taken out of a living
life.
being.
It's alive,
yes.
It's born, and it's developed within a living organism.
Within a living organism. And this inspired awe. And I think the very early pearls who were found, they must have immediately led our forefathers to admire pearls, to think them to be something rare, and using the shells, but above all using the pearls.
Wow. Can you tell me a little bit about pearls in Middle Eastern culture, some of their values and views on pearls? I know in some of these areas, they value the natural pearl as opposed to the cultured pearl. But can you tell me about that deep value that they have in their culture?
Yeah, I think it's admiration for what nature can produce. It's still today like this in India. I think the pearl is most highly cherished in India. And the highest prices are paid in India. And most pearl dealers are in India, the natural pearl dealers, more than those in other countries of this world. It must go back to a very distant past. I think because pearls are beautiful. I mean, they are round, white, shiny. One can easily understand that people loved those objects, and only a few could get them. And those few wanted to get even more and even better ones, but they were rare. And ordinary people did not have a reach to those objects. So one time in the Louvre Museum in Paris, a necklace, which I have also a photo of in my book, It was found in a grave of an Achaemenidian prince, no, an early Persian dynasty. So it's about 2,500 years old, and it looks so astonishingly modern. And the pearls must have come either from the Red
Really?
Sea or the Persian Gulf, and they were interspersed with turquoises. Can you imagine?
Wow.
It must have looked very, very beautiful. It's one of my favorite pieces, but last year I visited a museum in Bulgaria, and I tested a treasure which came from the 10th century, belonging to the royal family of Bulgaria at the time. It had been hidden in 971 by a soldier, probably in a Byzantine
After
Kiev
a raid
war,
of,
after a raid, and was rediscovered in 1978. It had emeralds and pearls.
oh my God.
And it shows again that the pearls were something reserved for royalty. But they had turned their color because they had been hidden in the earth, in the ground, which shows us that pearls are not always surviving the times,
Yes.
but those in the Louvre are practically unchanged, only the end pearls.
Which is testament to the fact that pearls stay on the test of time.
They can stand the test of time, but they may also be influenced by weather conditions, moisture,
Body.
so we can't really say, we can't really give a definite rule. There are always exceptions to the rule.
Are there any interesting stories as to how, like, I know that the tears of angels and this type of romantic story. Is there anything that you can tell me about that?
It's in all cultures that we know, the stories are equal to each other. They are similar to each other. It means a drop of dew or a drop of water has entered the shell and a pearl formed. It's really more or less even of the Indians, the Chinese, the Iranians, early Europeans. The stories are equal to each other, but they are not stories. I mean, the interpretations, legends today. But actual scientific thinking only started in the 18th century. Before people believed in these legends, maybe they didn't have other knowledge to interpret it, or we don't know. We have very few written documents. But in the 18th century, a Swedish scientist, Carl von Linné, famous Swedish scientist, who wrote the first nomenclature of nature, he even made trials to capture pearl. And then he found out how pearls form. But the actual decisive explanation came only in 1913 by a German scientist called Friedrich Alverdes. He took local German river mussels. He took some mantle tissue out, implanted it in the mantle tissue of another mussel, observed the growth period, so he proved pearls grow when tissues of the mantle somehow get, displaced tissues, an irritant, get back into the mantle tissue and form a pearl sac, and the pearl sac starts to grow nacre. When he starts to grow, what usually makes up the outer shell, then in this round pearl sac, a pearl will be formed. So this, we know it decisively only from 1913. There had been many interpretations before, but Carl von Linné even produced cultured pearls. They are at the Linnean Society in London. If you go to London the next time, go and have a look. I went there.
Will,
I had a look.
absolutely.
Yes, go.